Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Bonjour, bonjour. Welcome back to the podcast. I am delighted to have you here. I am delighted to still be in my super, super happy place of France. In fact, I am back in Paris. And as all good things must come to an end, which actually I don't agree with that in any way, shape, or form, but I know it's a saying. I leave Paris tomorrow, and although that makes me a little bit sad, of course, I am very much looking forward to being home and seeing Amelia, and I'm only going to be home for a few days, and then I'm back here again for a couple of weeks. So fun. And this whole month here in France has just been a beautiful, graceful unfolding, an up level. You know, it was my reclamation retreat as I experienced a level of freedom that I have never known in my adult life with the completion of my divorce proceedings. It has been such a really beautiful place to exhale, to dream, to plan, to allow many, many good, fabulous things to find me. I think, I'm sure I told you back in July, I spent a very long weekend in New York City with my best friend, Sharon, and she's just so fun. I've told you about her before when I visited her beautiful home in Northern California and how she just creates beautiful spaces that are an invitation to linger. Well, as she was planning to meet me in New York, we went and saw Diana Krall. She asked if she could put a few things on the itinerary since it was also in celebration of my birthday. And then she themed our itinerary. I know, she's so fun. Following our bliss in pursuit of beautiful spaces. And I am telling you, that sentence has felt like a gorgeous mantra ever since. And it is certainly what was on my heart and on my mind and in my experience the whole time that I've been here in France. I have found myself in the most stunning rooms, in the most stunning buildings, in the most stunning cities, villages, wee little towns all over this gorgeous country. And I am just filled. I'm filled with delight. I'm filled with curiosity and discovery and appreciation and love and champagne and all the good things. Oh my gosh, it's just so great. So thank you for following along on this journey. Thank you for coming with me, some of you. Thank you for deciding to come with me as I gush on and on about this fabulous place. I know you know your next opportunity is in December for the Paris Christmas markets. Oh my gosh, I have identified some places. We are going to be having some epic lunches in addition to all of the beauty that we will be experiencing and shopping for and just basking in while we're here. So it's just from a very good, high vibe, heart-filled place that I tell you about today's guest, who is just so beautiful, and her heart is also full of passion for the people that she works with. She is Katarina Polonska. She is a high performance relationship coach and gender dynamics social scientist. She has a master's from Oxford, and as a former regional VP of a global behavioral science firm, she has developed the Successfully in Love method, helping busy executives and entrepreneurs create healthy, secure, true love romantic relationships without sacrificing their career ambition. She is on the most gorgeous mission to help 100,000 career-driven professionals have happy, long-term relationships by 2030. I am so delighted to share this gorgeous conversation, these beautiful insights with today's guest, Katarina Polonska. Katarina, I am so looking forward to this conversation. I love everything that you're doing in the world. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's so fun. So let's just start by asking, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
Oh, good question. I'm saying yes to myself by letting myself ride out the waves of energy. I think
Ooh.
one thing that I have been very good at my whole life, classic high achiever, is being go, 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 right? Like always doing, always performing, always on. And it's no different with my business because I'm supporting clients all the time, right? Like I work with some pretty heavy issues, right? Especially right now, this week has been incredibly heavy. And it was even this morning that I woke up and I was like, my energy's kind of low, my mood is kind of low. And there's like cycles and hormones. And I think old me would really be like, rah, 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 go on, get myself going, get myself going. And I do believe in that. But there's like a more evolved way of staying high energy whilst being mindful that my energy might be a bit lower today. So that's really what I'm kind of playing with, right? Like just saying yes to what is and riding that.
That is so beautiful. What a gracious gift to give to yourself.
Yeah, I like to think so.
Yes, and everybody really benefits from that because you're not pushing, you're
Right.
not overdoing it, which means that your responses might not be at the elevated
Yeah,
level that
yeah,
you
yeah,
desire them
yeah,
to
yeah,
be in retrospect. So it is a paradigm shift for sure, but so in service.
yeah. 100%, 100%. There's like there's a different way to show up and still be on and still be saying yes to clients, to work, while saying yes to what's going on within, right? Like it's a much more kind of sophisticated way, I think, of handling the energy rather than forcing it.
Well, right. And as we get older, not like as we age and that
Yeah.
nonsense conversation that always follows. It's as we're evolving, as we're having more experiences, as we're learning more about ourselves and about the world and about the people that we're interacting with. It only makes sense to not show up the way we showed up when we were 25 years old.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yes,
100%.
and having our expectations of others and ourselves evolve as our mindset evolves, as our practices evolve. It's not just pieces of us that are being honed, it's all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's like leaning into that authenticity, right? And when it comes to my work and relationships, I'm such a big advocate of authenticity being the key thing that's going to solve most of your relationship problems. But again, I don't mean authenticity from the lens of I'm going to speak my radical truth, and then it can be aggressive or unkind. I believe personally that our authentic self is rooted in love. And most of the things that we want are from a place of love, if not everything, right? And so when we can lean into that authentic self, probably won't have that many relationship issues because you're coming from a place of love. I think the difficulty is the idea of authenticity has been lost a little bit along the way and misconstrued, right? Like so many things in life. So yeah, absolutely agree with you.
Right. It's not a permission slip to be a jackass.
No,
It's
exactly, exactly.
it's be introspective, be
Yes,
actually more giving, more
yes.
loving, more aligned.
More vulnerable, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that when we can kind of drop down into that more deeper, vulnerable inner space,
Yes.
things just kind of flow.
That's so fascinating. I agree with everything that you're saying. And I believe that that's true as well. And I'm really eager to hear how that mindset, that strategy, quote unquote, for finding love is working with your clients. Because what I understand is that the majority of your clients are corporate, high achieving executives, do not have time to create and run their empires and also find love. So they pull you in. And this way of being could be countercultural to what their day job looks like, and how they have found success because they started from this mindset of getting ahead at all costs, and what all the things that we are doing at the beginning of our careers.
Yeah,
Sometimes those habits evolve, but sometimes those habits stay in place.
yeah,
So, I have so many questions. How are you doing this? How are you finding this work? How did you get started? Jump in at any part of your story.
sure,
I love to hear it.
sure. And maybe I'll start with the story, just kind of condensed, right? I'm not going to go into the full thing. I think for so much of my life, again, having been and still being a high achiever, very high performing, got the grades, went to the girls' school, went to Oxford, blah, 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 like all of the things. And then, had a great corporate career and then was previously engaged to my ex-fiance. And like classic high achiever, I did therapy, I meditated, I did yoga, I did breath work, I did all the things like tick, 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 tick. I've got this. And all of that to say, none of that really meant anything when it came to my romantic life, right? Most of my 20s, I was dating, traveling, moving countries, kind of thinking, the time will come and the time will come. I'll probably be something like 28. Lo and behold, I did. And when I got engaged to that person, again, like relationship was picture perfect on the outside, like Instagram perfect. But internally, I was very anxious and I really struggled internally for so many different reasons. And eventually, when I ended up calling off that engagement, which was probably the hardest thing I've ever done to date, and I've had anorexia twice. So I've had like mental health issues, but that was the hardest thing because it felt like a fall from grace of the kind of the picture perfect ideal that I thought I was living my life to become, right? Like I got engaged in my late 20s. I was going to have kids in my early 30s. Like the wedding was planned, all of this stuff that felt so comfortably predictable of what a high achieving person should do, right? And then for me to go again in my early 30s and be like, actually, I'm calling this off. And then, you know, just having a full meltdown of like, well, what do I do with my life now? Do I even have kids? Like, when am I going to meet someone else? What will people think of me? All of my different wounds were activated. Like, well, I'm now bad. I'm like damaged goods. No one will want me. And all of that stuff. It was really a fall from, it felt like my world had imploded, right? Everything had kind of exploded and fallen apart. And I think that was really the moment when I realized that it didn't matter how much I meditated, didn't matter how much therapy I did, didn't matter how much I thought I knew myself and how I thought I've got this figured out. Relationships, specifically romantic relationships, are a whole different ballgame. And until you've actually studied how you show up in romantic relationships, what your attachment style is, how you actually project, get defensive, get anxious, all the different patterns, and really how you're wired towards love, it's all a bit of a moot point. And my mission at that stage was really, I worked in behavioral science, right? I was a regional vice president for a global behavioral science company, and I kind of had this access to a lot of psychology and resources, and my dad's in the space. So I'm very lucky that I've been surrounded by this world for a long time. And I really just wanted to understand, like, where did I go wrong? And how can I avoid this happening again? And the crux of it really was like, I hadn't been authentic. And I'm not saying
Mm.
that I was being fake in that relationship.
Right.
I was being as authentic as I thought I could be. And by that I mean is I presented a pretty manicured version of myself. I was trying really hard and I was trying to show up in intimacy. I was trying to show up visually. I was trying to show up until I was just trying to show up and be my best self. But actually in the process of doing that, I was performing, right? I
Yes.
was performing. And I see that so much when I work with high achieving women who maybe they're married, they've been married for like 8, 10 years. And they tell me, well, I don't really trust my husband. I don't really feel that safe with him. I don't know what my future looks like. And I'm like, I relate to all of those things. And
Yeah.
the reason you don't feel safe with him, one of the reasons you don't feel safe with him, one of the reasons that you don't really trust him is because you haven't let yourself be fully seen. And the reason for that is fundamentally, guess what? You have a fear of intimacy. Most of us do, right? And so for me, it was such a eye-opening experience of I have been afraid of intimacy all of my life. And I have been presenting this like, wifey, Beyonce,
Right.
whatever, like air quotes, persona that I thought I should be. And so that was the point where I really wanted to understand, well, why? Why have I been performing? Why do we perform? Right?
Right.
Obviously, there's internalized patriarchy. Obviously, there's internalized messages and societal conditioning and blah, blah, blah. But it was like, where is this fear really coming from? What am I so afraid of? And as I drilled down into that and identified all of the different blocks, the kind of subconscious psychological blockers that we have, the core wounds, whatever you want to call them, and started to dismantle those, started to kind of really recondition my brain to feel safe with being seen and being authentic. That is when, guess what? Two things happened. One, I became securely attached, and two, I met my husband,
Ah,
right? We have a very different relationship now. And so it's something interesting that as I've been working with people who are also high achievers, I see this every single day with every single person that if you have relationship problems, 9.9 times out of 10, we can drill down to the fact that you're holding back somewhere. You don't even know you're holding back, right? Because most people have no clue. And it's when you stop holding back that the truth comes out. And at that point, when the truth comes out and you're free, and they're being free, you can see the truth of the matter of, well, are we actually a fit? Is this actually going to work? Are we actually compatible or not? And if not, great. That's
right.
fine. Go find someone who is, because when you're being authentic, you will.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I work with both people who are single, looking for love, and people who are in a relationship and really unsure of, am I with the right person? Is this the person I'm going to be with the second half of my life? And again, I do the individual work first. I work with them before I work as a couple, because I fully believe until you have reconnected with yourself, until you have identified and at least begun to dismantle the different subconscious blockers inside of you that are preventing you from being
Yes.
intimate and being vulnerable, it's not going to work. You can go do all of the Gottman training and communication and imago dialogue and all of that stuff until you've actually identified, where am I projecting here? Where am I holding back? It's just like a little band-aid, right? It's the reason why I left corporate training in behavioral science. It's like, this is just like little band-aids that we're putting on people. We're not doing deeper change. So that's a really long answer, but
No, I love it. It's
kind of
so
tying
good.
back to the authenticity piece right at the beginning, right? Which is like, yeah, I think my own personal struggle, full disclosure, where I'm at right now in my own journey is very comfortable being authentic with my husband, very comfortable being authentic with my clients, still struggle being authentic with myself in business in terms of my energy levels,
Oh,
right? In terms
okay.
of like, yeah, I didn't sleep very well last night and, hormones and whatever. And so maybe my energy's down a little bit right now. There's like that little inner high achieving show pony inside. I was like, oh,
Oh,
come on, just come on, rally. And I'm like, actually, no, this is the same thing. It's that performativity coming back, right?
right.
Yeah, it's a journey for sure.
Right. And these habits, I mean, like they say, old habits die hard.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
true, even
absolutely.
if your habits have not caught up with your mindset and
Yeah,
what you know to be true. And like you said, that projecting onto what are other people thinking and
yeah.
what, and I've never met and you're going on podcast, you don't know who the people are. Like, oh, what if I'm 3 minutes late? What if I didn't have
Hmm.
a blowout? I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah,
none of those things matter in what the deeper conversation is, but we don't know that, or we forget that on the front side of the exchange. And so we are making these things mean
Yes.
all sorts of things that
Yeah.
are not true. And it's all happening in a subconscious level. So,
Yeah.
of course, when we stop and dissect the sentences, then that all makes
Mhm.
sense. And we hold space for ourselves and take time with it. That's really great. But
Yeah.
that doesn't happen the majority of the day.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You mentioned something that I have heard before, and I'm tempted to say embarrassed that I don't know what this means, but I've been unsuccessfully married twice.
Mhm.
Um, Only meaning that I'm not still married. They were both very successful. And
Yeah.
then it was
Yeah.
more successful to not be married. So then I did
Yes.
that. Um,
Yeah.
what does it mean to be securely attached?
Hmm. Oh, good question. Thank you
Thank
for
you. I'm glad that's a good question because I
yeah.
was afraid you were going to say, oh, everybody knows that, but you
But
apparently.
they don't, right? And
Yeah,
I think
I,
that's the thing.
yeah,
I think that's the thing. And I think like I came across attachment theory over a decade ago. And I remember when I did the classic thing. I read the book, went on Instagram, found loads of attachment people, relationship coaches, started screenshotting stuff and sending it to my ex-fiance, being like, look at this, like you do that, like. And I thought, as everyone does, that I'm securely attached. And
right.
the problem, well, let me
Right.
tell
Just
you,
ask me. I've
yeah,
got a long list of what you could be doing differently that would have made this work.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I honestly think if you're pointing your finger at your partner, being like, well, if only they would do this, then you can bet
Yeah.
that you've got work to do, right? Because the
Yeah.
securely attached person recognizes it. Oh, perfect. So, yeah, like I knew about this for a long time, but it was only when I again called off that engagement, hit rock bottom, and was like, what the heck do I do with my life now? That I actually developed a deeper understanding of it, right? And I can talk about this for days. Because again, I
Please.
think it's a very cliche topic that's like very trendy in pop culture right now, which does make me a little bit sick, but actually like there's a lot of truth in it, right? So, okay, where do I even start? Let me actually start with a different perspective.
Please.
We all know about law of attraction. We all know
Yes.
about manifestation, right? Another very, very trendy topic. So a topic I actually grew up with. My dad is I think he's now on one of the secret movies. My dad's
Oh,
like that
really?
whole circle, with these people. That's how I came across it. I was like 14 years old, and my dad knew all these people, and they're all really good friends. And dad's really good
Yeah.
friends with Brian Tracy and Joe Dispenza and blah blah blah.
So great.
Really good, yeah,
Good for you, too. That's
really good.
beautiful.
Not helped my career to be clear. Like the nepotism has not gone
Yeah.
far,
And
sadly.
proximity doesn't always
No,
mean
no.
growth, right?
But maybe one day, maybe one day.
Yes.
Anyhow, so the reason so many people know about manifestation and yet struggle, whether it's romantically, whether it's financially, is because The Secret and all of the pop culture material on manifestation misses one really key piece of the puzzle. And that piece of the puzzle is the fact that you can go through all the affirmations, you can journal all you want, you can think and visualize your way to success, but it's not going to last because your subconscious mind is where the manifestation actually happens. Your subconscious mind is 95 to 97% of what creates your reality. It's where all of your autopilot processes are, your beliefs, your thoughts, all of that. And your conscious mind is only 3 to 5%, right? So when you are trying to use your conscious mind to manifest by thinking and visualizing and writing affirmations, it's like you're using a little tiny fraction of what's actually dictating your reality. It's subconscious stuff that really matters. And for most people, changing the subconscious stuff is like, well, I need to spend 30 years in therapy and, kind of Freudian chaise long, and I'm lying there and I'm spilling my guts and talking about sexual relations with my parents, whatever like wacky things come up with
Right.
that. And that's true to an extent. However, you can shift your subconscious thought patterns and you can use your conscious mind to hack your subconscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why is this relevant to attachment theory? Well, people who are securely attached on a subconscious level don't really have any blocks. They don't really have subconscious blocks. And by that, what I mean is they don't really have any childhood wounds. They don't really have that many limiting beliefs. They don't really have many kind of internal psychological blockers to their success.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So, do they not have those because nothing bad ever happened to them, or because they have created new neural pathways and
Oh,
built a
great
new
question.
thought system? Okay.
It can be both, right?
Okay.
So it could be that they just didn't really have a very volatile childhood, they had a really stable childhood. Parents were pretty, good and balanced. And they grew up feeling very loved, very safe, very included, very accepted, very worthy. And because they grew up this way, they now just have this kind of very secure wiring. And by secure, I mean that they love themselves. They feel really good about themselves. And because they feel good about themselves and their role in the world and their place in the world, they believe that they're going to have good things in the world. They don't believe anyone's out to get them or anything negative. And thus, because on a subconscious level, their belief system is very open and very clear and very loving and positive, they go on and attract good things. So law of attraction really works well for them. And yes, you can be insecurely attached throughout most of your life and become secure later in life. That's what I did, right? I was very insecurely attached most of my life. But with neuroplasticity and all of the wonderful things that our brain is capable of doing, we can actually recondition or rewire, as people like to say, our brain to become secure. So you can do this, and that's really what I specialize in, helping people do. So kind of fun fact, even though I specialize in relationships, I also help with like careers and money and business, because it's all
it's all the same.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Right. So yeah, so that's kind of secure attachment. Now you have insecure attachment, which is there are three main styles, right? And most people are going to be a mix of all three. You've got the anxiously attached. That was me for most of my life. You've got the dismissive avoidant, and then you've got fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment. And disorganized attachment is kind of a blend of the dismissive and anxious. And these three insecure attachment styles stem from childhood, though they can also develop later in life. So for me, for example, I was anxiously attached, but kind of secure. And only when I was 23 and my dad actually left the family and there was infidelity revealed, that I actually became really anxiously attached and a little bit fearful avoidant because I had a betrayal wound.
Sure. So, and is that because you felt like, oh, what I thought was real was a lie?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So insecure attachment develops when there is a trauma response. Like when I was 23 and my dad left, that was an incredibly traumatizing experience for me,
Sure.
and everyone in the family. And kind of micro traumas that happen throughout childhood. And micro traumas are simply just painful emotional experiences that are unprocessed because we're little kids, we don't understand them. And they can happen repetitively, right?
Sure.
So even something as simple as, like I have lovely parents, I love them dearly, but they didn't have the best emotional bandwidth. They were going through the collapse of the Soviet Union. I was born in Eastern Europe. There was a lot of fear in the atmosphere, right? Like literally fear of the economic system collapsing. And they were both quite anxious. My dad was absent trying to figure out what the heck to do for a living for my family. My mum was like working really hard. Often she'd come home quite like angry and frustrated. Food wasn't in abundance. Like there was a lot of hardship there. And so all of these things made my parents a little bit neglectful. And so therefore, because I felt neglected as a child, I grew up with this kind of abandonment wound, the sense of being alone, the sense that maybe there's something wrong with me, maybe I'm a bad kid, and that's why they don't give me much attention. And all of that led to a very anxious attachment where I went on to become quite needy and constantly needing reassurance and validation in life, right? Which also showed up in my relationships. Dismissive, avoidant people, it's almost like the same kind of stuff happens in childhood, but they learn to respond differently. And there can be nuances too, right? So I see very often with Southern European cultures where there's a strong religious influence and the kid is raised in this very like Catholic or Orthodox upbringing where they're told, we got to go to Sunday school, you got to do this, you got to wear that. There's a sense by the child that they're being neglected in a different way. They're being told what to do, right? And that can then make them feel very dismissed. And so they then learn to suppress their emotion, not trust intimacy, prefer to be alone, have their own space, and again, kind of be afraid of emotional overwhelm because like, they haven't created the bandwidth for it. Right. And so later in life, they become more lone wolfy. They like their own space. They prefer to be alone, and they don't do well with emotional overwhelm. So they don't like conflict. And then you have fearful avoidant, who grows up in more of a kind of volatile upbringing. So maybe the parents are there one day, gone the next. Maybe the parents are alcoholics, right? And so they're kind of unstable. And that makes the kid grow up with a strong sense of paranoia, that they can't really trust what they're seeing. They can't really trust the environment. They can't trust their parents. So they have this big wound around betrayal, and they're constantly very vigilant, right? They're constantly kind of scanning the room, observing behaviors, making conclusions. Makes them really charismatic later in life. They're very good at understanding and reading people, but it does mean that they're constantly living on edge a little bit. And then they have trust issues. So these are the insecure attachment styles. And crucially, the belief systems, the subconscious wiring is going to be insecure. The beliefs that they have about themselves are going to be along the lines of I'm unsafe,
Mhm.
I'm not good enough. I'm unworthy. Maybe I'm bad. Maybe I'm defective. No one wants me. I'm going to be rejected. Like a whole flurry, or like I'm powerless. I'm weak. A whole flurry of like really negative beliefs.
Yeah.
And when they have these negative beliefs, guess what? That's what they're going to attract more of from a law of
Mhm.
attraction perspective,
Mhm.
because that's the main operating system, but also from the behaviors that they do. If I believe, for example, that like I'm just not good enough, I'm just not good enough, I'm just not good enough, one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to become an extreme high achiever, which is what happened to me, right? And I'm going to be constantly jumping through hoops and trying to
Yes.
prove myself and chasing external validation and reassurance, but it's never going to feel like enough,
Right.
right? And so no matter how high I climb, it's never going to feel like enough. I was actually, like I work with people who make over 1 million a year and they're C-suites at global banks. It's still not enough.
Right.
And they're like 42, they're really young.
Right.
Still not enough. And so that's kind of how the wheel will show up there. You can have the external stuff, or you're going to believe that you're not good enough. And so you're not even going to try. And because you don't even try, you're obviously not going to learn the muscle of actually performing. And then the results you get back are going to be pretty bad. And then that's going to be confirmation bias, like, well, I'm not good enough, right? That's what I see in romantic relationships. It's like this belief that I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not good enough, or I'm unworthy. So they don't show up with their romantic partner. They're not authentic. They don't let themselves be seen. Then their partner doesn't understand them, or the partner doesn't really connect with them because they're not being vulnerable. So then they walk around thinking, well, I guess I'm just not worthy of connection. We never showed up in
Mm.
the first place.
Right.
So it's again, the kind of behavior, that unconscious behavior will reinforce the outcome that you predict that you're going to have. It's like this weird kind of manifestation, right? Like
Right.
prophecy.
Well, right, because we're always manifesting.
Absolutely.
We people think it's like, oh, I really want to understand this manifestation stuff because I want the
Yeah.
money. It's like, oh, you're doing it right now. You just need to
Yeah.
change your thoughts.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like I was working with a subconscious mind coach not that long ago to kind of deepen my own craft. And it was so interesting. I come at it from a very scientific lens.
Right.
I like to break things down. I like to understand what's going on. I like, my clients like to understand. It was so interesting. This lady, she was in her 60s and she's been working in this field for like 20 years. And she just kind of stripped out all the science, stripped out all the granular elements,
Wow.
and just made it really simple. And she was like, you just have to focus on feeling joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's really interesting. And then to her point, it was like, but authentic joy. It can't be joy of like, well, I've just done a load of cocaine and drugs and now, I'm like running around cheating on my spouse and that's it. Because that's not joy, right?
Right.
That's like very dysfunctional, unhealthy energy that's coming from a place of lack. But when you feel genuine joy, you're going to manifest more good things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is, and my problem with kind of her approach is that it's not that simple for a lot of people.
Right. Joy is the most vulnerable emotion, says
Right.
Brene Brown. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, you know, I don't think my clients would like it very much if I said to them, like, you just got to be joyful. It's like,
Right.
oh, like, there's deeper elements to it. So, but the end goal is still the joy.
Yeah.
It's like you just have to dismantle the conditioning that's preventing you from feeling safe to feel that joy and for preventing you from even seeing the opportunities for feeling joy.
And that joy is available to you. It's not
Exactly.
something that's for a child the day they go to Disneyland.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
yes.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think there's a lot of kind of misinformation in the space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why kind of what we originally started on. I love bringing something like attachment theory, which again has been kind of misconstrued, to manifestation and just kind of showing how it's all interlinked. And really, the most important thing that you can do, I think, ever, truly, dare I say, is get really familiar with your own belief systems, with your own subconscious blockers, with your own core wounds, with the patterns that are running the show, because they are what's going to be dictating your income, your health, your relationships, your career, your friendships, your family. It's going to dictate everything.
Yes.
And until you've really wrapped your arms around that and begun at least to recondition that into something that is more secure, you're going to be struggling in life. It's the reason I work with billionaires who are like really freaking unhappy. You have
Right.
the money, but so what? It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because if that was what, when this happens, then I will have joy. When this
Hmm.
happens, then I will be happy. It's conditional. And
Exactly.
what that woman was saying was finding unconditional joy,
Yes.
unconditional alignment,
Yes.
which is that simple, that easy, but it is very unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And so then it can like, is it really that easy? Can
Yeah.
that be that? I don't think it's that easy. And then we just like start building a wall with bricks that we're taking from somewhere else that are not getting us any closer to the joy either. So I think that it, like you said, the message may be very simple, but
Yeah.
because we're all different and we're all have this internal wiring that
Yeah.
whether it's in service or not, you're bringing such a beautiful awareness to people because you have the science, because you've been doing this work for such a long time. You can learn the narrative
Yeah.
that is going to be most effective for your client.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you were working with someone like me who was securely attached according to your definition, and I think, yes, joy is it. Like that would be a
Yeah.
really short
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
And where, you know, someone that was having these other experiences, I think it's so beautiful. I'm so grateful to you for doing this work on the other side of your experience
Yeah.
because you're a trustworthy source.
Thank you. Yeah. And you know what's really interesting? Because I coach people in their business too. A lot
Right,
of
of
my clients
course.
who come through, right? And we do the relationship work and then we have this relationship ourselves and they're like, oh, can you help me with my business? And I'm like, sure. Like, again, we're kind of on the path already. I think what's really interesting is that there's this kind of idea that like you have to really connect and relate to your clients and you have to, and it's like, well, I'm not a billionaire 57-year-old man. Like
Right,
I'm
right.
not, right? And so there is like a disconnect here. But my whole perspective is, first of all, these people have a lot of power,
Yeah.
right? Anyone who's a high achiever, you have a lot of power to do a lot of good in the world. And from
Mm-hmm.
my perspective, if you are running on an insecure operating system
Yeah.
and you are emotionally fraught and you are overthinking, you are ruminating, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling stressed, you are holding yourself back from your full potential. And you're potentially doing things that maybe aren't actually as like loving and good as they could be.
Right. And if you're in power, you're probably affecting a lot of other people's lives.
Exactly, exactly.
I have no idea what that looks like.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I want to help these people because I'm like, well, no one else is helping you.
Right.
That drives me nuts, right?
Can I ask a quick does that person think they need help or do they think everybody else needs help?
Uh, well, the people I work with know that they need help, right? They have this like lovely humility with it, you know, like again, one of the billionaires I've been working with, he's like, everyone needs a coach.
Right. Oh, I love him.
Yeah. He's like, we have a whole entourage. So I think the real A players get that you don't get to the top
For
alone.
sure.
But yeah, absolutely. I work with people who are like, no, it's all my wife's fault. And I'm like, okay, so we're not going to work together.
Right.
But I think what's really interesting is that with the boom of the coaching industry,
Yeah.
it's like 800% increase in the industry since COVID, right?
Yes.
Who are the majority of the coaches? Well, it's white women. It's
Mm-hmm.
white women, right? White privileged women, often stay-at-home moms. And there's a lot of them on Instagram. And so if you are a woman who has, you know, disposable income or is looking for help growing your own business, you can get a ton of support. If you want help with, you know, becoming securely attached, I don't really know the quality of that work, but there's a lot of support out there. My problem is that what about the people who aren't on Instagram? What about the people who don't have time to be going through social media? These are the people who often have the most power and often the biggest problems. And so that's when I'm like, well, who's helping them?
Right.
No one, right? Your marriage counselor's not helping because they have a very different approach. They work
Mm-hmm.
with the conscious mind. They do talk therapy, right? So who's doing the deeper stuff? You can't go to a Tony Robbins event and expect that same level of change, right? I have clients who go to that and they're like, yeah, it was really disappointing. It was instead of like rah, rah, chanting. So that's really what makes me passionate. It's like, if the world was run by securely attached leaders,
Mm.
imagine what would
Oh
happen.
my
We wouldn't
gosh.
have climate
It
change,
gives me chills.
right? We'd have like a most wonderful place. Yeah, so that I really want to help people to live the best quality life that they can, to have the
Yes.
greatest positive impact and the best legacy that they can leave on the planet, right?
Yes.
As someone who's like really, really, really secure and full of self-love and happy and abundant and all the wonderful things. That's what I want to see.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And please share what your mission is because it's so gorgeous. I love it. And
Yeah.
attainable.
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
attainable.
yeah. We live in a world where like the internet is everywhere, right? And you have so much access to getting support. Yeah, truly my mission, like my background before I started working in behavioral science was philanthropy, right? I was working with refugees, I was doing philanthropic work, and I burned out and kind of struggled with scalability of it. And the way that I see it is if we all became securely attached, we would literally upgrade the whole human consciousness, right?
That's right.
I hate how that sounds, but like we would all become just a better planet, better
Yes.
people, better planet, less hatred, less war, less
Mm-hmm.
suffering, like less exploitation, all the good things. And I'm a firm believer that you actually become more abundant and you can become more wealthy and more happy when you have this type of conditioning, when you have secure attachment. So that's my mission. It's like, how can I help upgrade humanity by helping people do this rather than wasting your life feeling bad?
Right. And you want to help 100,000 high
Yeah,
achieving
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Exactly.
executives find love in relationship. It's so beautiful.
Exactly. Exactly. Because there's, again, so many studies to show that when you're happy at home and you have love and rest at home, you go on to become better at work. No
Right.
surprise there, right? Harvard did the
Right.
biggest and biggest study on human happiness. Guess what contributed to human happiness the most? The quality of your romantic relationship,
Mm.
right? It's not your money,
Yes.
not your career, it's your romantic relationship. It's the biggest and most important thing you'll ever invest into.
Yes. What are you seeing in your client base or trends in your business? Who is a person who says they're ready and who is the person who is ready?
Yeah, I think this is why my energy was down a little bit this morning.
Okay.
I run into people who say they're ready, who get that they have challenges they need to work through, who want to do the work. And then just at that final point where it's like, okay, let's book in your session, let's go to payment, let's contract. There's like this cold feet, right?
Mm.
And cold feet, and often they disappear. They ghost a lot of the
Mm.
time. Oh, that breaks my heart. Because
Yeah.
honestly, with every person that I speak to, my heart goes out to them. They tell me the quality. Like there was a lady I spoke to last week. She's 50, 57. She's never experienced love, like romantic love, like never. Been single for 20 years. And I'm just like trying not to cry on this call. It's like
Right.
my heart goes out to her and she's lovely and we all deserve love. And
Totally.
then, but again, guess what? There's going to be avoidance patterns there, right?
Yeah.
And this morning I was like, oh, I think she's ghosting. I think she's running. I think she's
Wow.
freaking out, right? And same thing with
Right.
men. I have men who come to me and they tell me like, my wife doesn't even lay the table for me anymore. I can't even have a conversation with my kids because they just don't trust me to be interested because I'm so absent. I have migraines all the time. I have health issues. I've gained all this weight. And I'm like, yeah, you're very freaking insecurely attached. There's a lot of problems here. And like, again, you need to heal your relationship with your wife, with yourself, with your kids. And again, then it's like, oh, this is too much work. I don't have time for this. And I think the thing that really drives me nuts is like, these are really smart people. And the short sightedness
Right.
of it,
Yeah.
when I'm thinking, do you have a prenup? They ask everyone that. Like, no. Okay. So let me get this straight. You're grinding for 12, 14 hours a day. You're gunning for a big exit. You're trying to make like, I don't know, 50 mil, whatever it might be. You're working really hard. You're heading to that exit. You're compromising your marriage. You're compromising your health. You're compromising your family. Guess what's going to happen when you get to that exit? Because I work with people who have already exited. Your
Yeah.
wife's not going to be freaking there anymore. She's
Right.
already going to be either in bed with someone else or working with a divorce lawyer to divorce you. And then guess what? She's going to get half the assets.
Mm-hmm.
And walk me through the logic of this. It makes no sense. You're going to be miserable and probably die alone because you haven't invested into this part of your life. And she's going to be dating a younger version of you with all your money. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Right.
And I think there's this kind of cultural block that we have around romantic relationships that they just work out.
Mm.
And not the kind of thing that you want to apply science to or invest into, right? Because you do that at dating. Sure, at dating, like whining and dining. But once you've got the ring and, you're locked down and you've got wifey or husband or whatever, I think there's this idea that like you just don't invest into it.
Yeah.
And if you're investing into it, there's something wrong. You're at the couples counselor. But I'm like, no, it's not about that extreme. Anyway,
Right.
most couples wait till 6 years till they even see a couples counselor. By then it is too late. But it's about like, this is literally the most important relationship of your entire life. It is a business relationship as much as an intimate one. And it is going to dictate your longevity, your health, your income, everything.
Right.
How can you not invest into it? And I just don't know why culture kind of dismisses romantic relationships. So, final thing to your question, how do I know people are ready? They're the people who show up and they're like, yep, I get
Sure.
it's not perfect. I get that I've got things I need to figure out. I need your help. I'm willing to do it. Let's do this.
Right. Right. I mean, it's the same with everything, right? I
Yeah.
appreciate this conversation so much because when you're ready, you're ready.
Yeah.
Typically, you're past ready when you're
Yes.
ready, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
so the fact that I mean, if and it doesn't matter if it's someone hiring you or someone, if you're just trolling on Instagram and taking all of these free 5-day workshops, but
Yeah.
when someone pitches you their course, you're
Yeah.
out. Just stop.
Yeah.
Decide that you're not going to up level
Yes.
or decide that you are,
Yeah.
and let's do this. Invest in yourself. That
Yeah.
was the first thing that in my reinvention after 50, I invested in myself.
Yeah.
I intentionally curated the community that I desired, and I
Yeah.
implemented a morning practice. Like
Yes.
those were the things that kept me in it. And I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in the last 5 years on my
Yeah.
personal
Yeah.
development. And so
Yeah.
when people will look at what I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're just doing all this stuff. This is amazing. Yeah, my commitment to myself is real.
Yeah.
And I I desire when it's time for me to consider relationship. I am also not thinking that I know how to do this,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah.
there's something
Yeah.
happening, and you invest in what you value. And if I'm not going to wear the free t-shirt, so I'm not going to go to the free thing. I don't want the free life partner. I want
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
person who was equally invested. So are you helping people that they're coming to individually, you're preparing them for wherever they find love, or are you also like, oh, I'm also working with this client and I'm
Yeah.
working with you and you guys should meet each other?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. I've done that a couple of times, but it's never with the idea of like, oh, I'm a matchmaker, right?
Right.
I work with single people and I help them find love, but it's typically more of that inner work as much
Yeah.
like strategy, right? Strategy of like
Yeah.
panel, but I don't do the matchmaking. I will throw parties at my house though and invite my clients over sometimes, right? Especially the ones who kind of live near to Vancouver.
Right.
And then I might strategically connect them, right? It's very,
Yes.
very loose and very light. And then when I work with people who are married and they come to me individually and I work with them one on one, it may be, as you know, I've got a couple coming over later today, that later on it makes sense to bring in the other partner, right? Because
Yes.
they're ready. But yeah, great question. I have thought about doing matchmaking in the future, but I just know that matchmaking, first of all, doesn't work unless you've done that deep inner work, right? Like,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that would be quite the one-stop shop, ma'am.
yeah, absolutely. And maybe in the future, I have thought about doing like a alumni program, right? Where I've got my
Right.
I've gone through. I think honestly, the biggest thing for me right now is that the bulk of my clients are actually the single ones that come to work with me. They typically do find love within six.
Right.
So then they don't really on the market anymore.
Yeah.
And the rest of my clients are married. So,
Yeah.
but I think that's a great idea. It'll be so much fun.
Right. And but I love that your work is systemic,
Yes.
and I love that it is preparing them for the matchmaker,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because otherwise, that's kind of, I was a wedding planner,
Oh, cool.
so which is really, really fun, and I loved it. And
Mm.
I'm so invested in them. And then the day after the wedding, we don't ever talk. And it's like we break
Yeah.
up after the
It's
best day of
weird.
your
It's
life, and then
weird.
we
Yeah.
broke up. I don't understand. It's so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
So I love that what you're doing is not that. Like it's
Yeah.
not just, oh, I'm making magic. Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck, you guys. Turns
Exactly.
out like what you're doing really is holistic work for all parts of their life, but they're able to come to you with the subject of relationship. But as you said, all of these processes are the same,
Yeah.
and sometimes they're easier to embody
Yes.
if you can relate it to the areas that you don't have resistance around. So if
Totally.
they're, very successful at work and they probably are not
Yeah. Yeah.
in any, they don't have a money story that's keeping them from the
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So if they can implement and learn how to apply these processes to their business,
Yeah.
then they can see the correlation in
Yeah.
relationship so much easier.
Absolutely. Which actually hits me to another kind of point that I do executive coaching too, right? Which is like much more traditional executive work. We still do the attachment theory work.
Of course you do. It's all the work.
It's packaged differently, right? Because some people are like, oh, I don't know, my relationship's fine. It's not fine. By the time we actually get to work, it's clearly not fine. But it's like it feels safer just to accept that I have an executive coach, right? So I do that. And then I'm doing corporate work these days, which is really cool. Like there are some very progressive leaders and CEOs who recognize that they're babysitting their leadership team and their leadership team are actually pretty dysfunctional and insecurely attached. And they've got this person over here being really defensive with feedback, that person over there having an anxiety attack when they have to present, this person being really bullish and like really aggressive, this person not trusting anyone. And it's like, okay, this is all clearly just insecure attachment running wild. Let me come in and help people within 3 to 6 months to upgrade that emotional operating system of your leadership team, right? So you can actually scale.
Right, which of course is going to trickle down into every other area of their life. It's such a beautiful investment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
100%. 100%.
How fabulous to be doing such gorgeous, transformative work in the world.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome. Thank you. It's
you.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I love this for you and I love this for your clients. And I applaud you and celebrate you and cheering you on in this gorgeous mission because it is attainable and it is the ripple effects of those 100,000 people.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, yes, please.
100%. 100%. It's like such high ROI work.
Right. It's really beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so glad you said yes to yourself in this way.
Thank you. Thank you. And look at you lifting my energy.
It's my joy and pleasure to do
Amazing.
so because it's true and sometimes we don't see what other people see and
Yeah.
it's nice to be reminded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I'm going to cry because that's how you know I'm not lying.
Oh,
So
bless you. Bless you. Don't you
it's
make
just
me
true,
cry.
right? I mean, it's just such a gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we're doing what we're meant to do, what gives us passion and what gives us joy and what fills our tank, it's so life-giving and energizing to us, but then
Yeah.
to hear that it's also impactful to another person, like,
Yeah.
wait, what? Like my heart grew 3 sizes that day. Like what? That's unbelievable, right?
100%. 100%.
Oh, it's beautiful to do what you're meant to do.
Oh,
I see you in that. It's so gorgeous.
thank you.
It's my
Thank you.
pleasure. Please tell everybody where they can find and follow you. Are you taking new clients?
Yeah,
Perfect. Okay, tell us
absolutely.
tell
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah. I've got a couple of spots for my one-on-one. I have my group, which is a phenomenal safe space. It's very small, it's very intimate. It's just a really incredible place where you can become securely attached in 6 months.
Oh,
Um, I
gorgeous.
take you through all the subconscious reconditioning that you need to do. And most people find love in there. But yeah, find me on my website, www.katarinapolonska.com, or find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there. You can just type in the search Katarina Polonska. I'm now actually on TikTok. Look at me.
Look at you.
Yeah, that's again Katarina.Polonska or Instagram, Katarina Polonska. Just my name. Google my name. You'll
Perfect.
find me everywhere.
Perfect. And we'll link everything down in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time, Katarina. I have loved this conversation.
Me too. Me too.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.